It's the biggest game Tempe has seen in a decade. We've got full coverage of ASU and BYU for a path to the Big 12 championship.
We'll hit the hardwood as Sun Devil Hoops is back on track. They won 4 of their last 5 games. We'll have highlights from their most recent against Cal Poly and a little bit more on a standout freshman.
And it's crunch time for a top 10 volleyball squad. They move towards postseason play. We're bringing you a 5-course meal of Sun Devil athletics right now. It's a mammoth weekend here in Tempe, and by Sunday, ASU might be a win away from the Big 12 championship game. Welcome to Studio 6. Aiden Blank, Gabby Chernoff, another week of Cronkite Sports Live. Do you have your tickets for Saturday?
I'll actually be on the field, on the sideline. One of the best tickets in the house, if I do say so myself, Aiden.
Looking forward to it. We got a lot to get to, including check-ins with volleyball, hoops, even a little wrestling later on. But there's no other place to start than on the gridiron. Arizona State, Kansas State. I'm not really sure why we were showing highlights of this game, but, you know, we're not Desmond Howard. We treat everybody equally here on CSL. Let's get things going with Arizona State and Kansas State. Second play of the game. Shamari Simmons tips a pass, and there's the interception by Xavier Alford. The tip drill for the pick. Second for Alford in this season. What do good teams do when they turn the ball up, when they get turnovers? They turn them into touchdowns. Sam Levitt lobs one to Jordan Tyson. Corner of the end zone. ASU on the board first. 7-0 Devs. Second quarter, Sam Levitt evading pressure, finding Tyson back of the end zone. Some toe drag swag on that one, and he let the crowd hear it in Manhattan. Near the end of the half, we're going to go to Sam Levitt again. He dumps it to Shimon Mateer, and all of a sudden, ASU is up 21-0. Wow, pretty darn impressive start in the Little Apple at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. Wildcats do try to get points at the end of the half, but trouble with the snap, and Arizona State has a 3-score lead going to break. They didn't allow a single point in the first half. That would change very early on in the second half. What appeared to be just a routine complete pass is fumbled. Kansas State recovers, and, well, they're going to turn that into points just like ASU did in the first half. A look and a run, and there you go. Touchdown, Avery Johnson, great quarterback for Kansas State. Brian Ward compared him to Lamar Jackson earlier in the week. He certainly showed that in this ball game. A little bit later on, complete pass to the outside, but it felt like the ASU offense was just stalled after those 3 scores early on. And here comes K-State going to the fourth quarter. They are still up. They're still down by 3 scores, but Joe Jackson going to change that with a burst into the end zone. He's fired up. Wildcats go for 2 and get it. Suddenly, this is a 10-point game. Later on in the fourth quarter, final chance for K-State to stay alive, but no, it's picked off right at Shamari Simmons, who silences what fans were left in Manhattan. ASU 8-2 on the season, a remarkable turnaround, and Kenny Dillingham certainly appreciated that after the game.
Yeah, I would be lying if I said no, right? I mean, we were a 3-win team twice. We were under NCAA sanctions. Most head coaches, to keep on it, be brutally honest, you get fired if you take a job under sanctions. You don't survive. You're hired to be fired. That's the nature of the beast. And right now we're sitting here at 8-2 and couldn't be prouder.
The Valley is officially activated. A sold-out matchup for number 21 ASU and 14 BYU means the return of a ranked matchup to Tempe for the first time since 2014. And look, they're playing in style. Gold pants, maroon jersey, and the talk of Tempe, those sparky helmets. Last time ASU went undefeated at home was in 2004 with those same helmets. Maybe some luck as they'll look to accomplish the same feat in this weekend's homecoming game with a 1:30 kick. And tickets for that game aren't running folks hundreds of dollars for no reason. ASU is third in Big 12 standings against the odds of the preseason conference poll that had them ranked dead last. There's a secret sauce for an ASU appearance in the Big 12 championship, and while Kenny Dillingham isn't quite sure on the recipe, here's what he had to say on the situation earlier this week.
Oh, I have no clue. I literally have no. Somebody was telling me if we win and somebody else loses, and then like ranch dressing falls on a wing, I don't really know.
The Big 12 title race is down to 4 teams: BYU, Colorado, Iowa State, and the Arizona State Sun Devils, who, stop me if you've heard this one before, were picked to finish last in the preseason media poll. But I digress. They're still in the hunt. Let's talk scenarios. First, ASU must win out. They got to beat number 14 ranked 9-1 BYU tomorrow, which has quickly become one of the biggest matchups in recent school history. But more on that one later. Then it's travel down south to Tucson to take on the struggling 4-6 Arizona Wildcats in the Territorial Cup. You think the Wildcats want to spoil ASU's season? Yeah, we gonna see. Now, if the Sun Devils drop either of those, they're all but out with a third loss. If ASU wins, they would own the head-to-head tiebreaker with BYU and stay alive. Now, what are those Big 12 tiebreakers? Well, there's 7 total, and technically this thing could come down to a coin toss, but I've never been a gambling man myself, so here's just the top 3 that you'll need to know. Number 1, head-to-head, they get that against BYU. Now, number 2, win percentage against common opponents. They very well could likely end up tied on this with Iowa State. And number 3, this is the one you really need to pay attention to. Win percentage against the highest placed common opponent in the conference. Essentially, who beat the higher ranked team in the conference that the other didn't. Now, if Iowa State wins out and Colorado loses a game, then we're looking at a tie-breaking mess. Way too many variables. If that happens, we'll have a 1-hour special, just me and y'all, to break it down. But for today's episode, I've been told to keep it brief by my producers. So let's assume Colorado wins out, which they're favored to do, and locks in a spot. That leaves ASU in a tie with Iowa State for second. In that case, ASU fans, you're hoping for 2 things. Hint, y'all are rooting for Kansas. 1, Iowa State picks up its 3rd loss in either of its last 2 games. Or 2, remember that highest placed common opponent tiebreaker? Well, ASU beat Kansas, who beat Iowa State, but lost to Cincinnati, who the Cyclones beat. Those 2 schools are tied right now. If the Jayhawks can finish higher than the Bearcats, ASU takes that spot. Oh, and if Coach Prime and a 2-way Heisman contender and arguably the best quarterback in the country and all them boys over there at Colorado somehow lose both of its last 2 games, then ASU would get in that way as well. But it all starts tomorrow. If the Sun Devils can't get a win against BYU, then I just explained all of this to you for nothing. It starts on the field. This is as big a game as ASU has been in a decade. For more on that, here's Aiden O'Neill.
The 14th ranked Cougars coming to Arizona State marks the first ranked matchup in Tempe since 2014, and the first time in a decade that meaningful football has been played in November. Rewind 10 years to when the number 9 Sun Devils defeated the number 10 Fighting Irish 55-31 in Tempe. Headlining the matchup for ASU was star quarterback Taylor Kelly, amassing 8,800 passing yards in his collegiate career and being remembered as one of the best to ever wear the maroon and gold. Against Notre Dame, Kelly threw for 224 yards and 3 touchdowns, linking up with Cameron Smith, Jalen Strong, and Demario Richard, who had 1 apiece. On the ground is where the Sun Devils dominated. DJ Foster rushed for 120 yards on 21 carries for Arizona State, while Richard and Kelly ran in touchdowns. 55 points scored marked the second most of the season. For Notre Dame, quarterback Everett Golson was slinging the ball around the field, having 446 passing yards with a 2-to-4 touchdown to interception ratio. Cam McDaniel had 2 touchdowns on the ground, but in front of a ruckus crowd of 65,000, Arizona State took over. As the Cougar Prow nears at Mountain America Stadium, Arizona State hopes to channel their success from the past and put themselves in a prime position to make the college football playoff. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Aiden O'Neill.
Happy birthday, Sparky. What better way to celebrate than with some ASU men's hoops? This time they're taking on Cal Poly at DFA. First half, it's BJ Freeman, kicks it out to Jihad. Bullseye, sinks the 3. ASU hit 4 straight 3-pointers to start off this game. It's Isaac Jessup, cross court to Owen Kuntz as Cal Poly gets a few 3s of their own. Kuntz sinks that one just as Jihad did, as we saw a moment ago. They're setting up a little bit of a dribble drive here. Matt Riniker to the rack. Midway through the first, Cal Poly cuts the deficit to single digits. Here's Josan Sannon off the bench, gets cooking quickly. Step back, Jay. You gotta watch out for number 3 when he's out there on the court, and they'll have to do so again, but won't be successful. Josan Sannon goes up with the right, finishes with the left. And who else but the other standout freshman, Jaden Quaintance, through the paint and a slam dunk from him. Next offensive possession, Quayton goes up, gets his own rebound, slams it down. He won't be denied twice. Sun Devils lead 46-38 at the half. Alston Mason drives to the net, puts it in the cup for 2. And here's Mason outside to Miller. Miller with the 3, and he's got it. Final 5 minutes now. A little bit of a reverse on this play. Now it's Miller to Mason, fadeaway triple, and he's got it again. Mustangs still trying to hang in there. This time it's Jessup on the outside, sinks the 3. And Bobby Hurley not too pleased with that one. A classic Bobby Hurley moment on the sideline there. Desperation 3 now from Cal Poly. It's Jared Hyder. He gets it to go, makes it a 1-score game, but the Sun Devils hang on to win. They move to 5-1 on the season. Sannon led ASU with 22 points. And for more on Josan Sannon, we'll send it over to our Crawford McKinstry.
ASU Men's Hoops has its first Big 12 Weekly Award winner in 2024 with Sun Devil freshman guard Josan Sannon. Alongside BYU's Agro Demon, Sannon was named co-Big 12 Newcomer of the Week on Monday. In 2 wins against GCU and St. Thomas, Sannon showed off his 3-level scoring ability, being able to work off the ball on the perimeter and create his own looks in the mid-range and at the rim. At times when the Sun Devils offense goes through slow stretches, Sannon provides a steady presence that keeps ASU from falling out of rhythm. With the lack of an elite facilitator, the Devils count on Sannon's bucket-getting ability to speed up possessions. The freshman ranks within the top 40 in the nation in 3-point percentage, and against GCU, he dropped 21 points on 5 for 7 shooting from downtown. Versus St. Thomas on Sunday, he had another efficient game with 18 points and 9 boards. Sannon also kept up that hot streak from last week on Wednesday night with his second 20-ball on the year and a home win against Cal Poly. Out of Vermont Academy, Sannon was ranked top 25 nationally in high school and 5th at his position. He received offers from UConn, Kentucky, Alabama, and U of A before deciding on ASU, and so far in Tempe, the plug-and-play freshman is off to a big start as the Sun Devils embark on an exciting journey this season. Reporting for Cronkite Sports, I'm Crawford McKinstry.
Well, this roster's been a fascinating combination, from some of the youngest players in college basketball to some fifth-year players looking to end their career on a memorable note. It's a diverse group of talent on the hardwood for ASU. To break it all down, let's bring in WCSN men's basketball reporter George Lund. And George, we'll start with the most experienced of these players. These senior transfers have really come in and hit the ground running.
Well, he bought into Bobby Hurley's team and his plan for them. Most of the new seniors came from colleges where they were the man or the focal point of their offense, but these veterans' ability to take a step back and integrate into the roles that Hurley has in place for them, whether it's an emphasis on BJ Freeman's role in the 3-and-D, Alston Mason's role in distributing the ball across the court, or Bashir Jihad's role in securing the paint, they've each bought into that system, and that has led to success early on.
The seniors are one thing, but the headlines all offseason were about this 3-headed monster of a freshman attack, and they've certainly lived up to expectations.
The expectations coming into the season were massive for these two guys, both top 30 players in the country at their respective high schools, and with ASU only returning one starting player from the last season, they needed to make an impact right away, and they've done just that. The youth is exactly what Hurley needed going into this season. Quaintance has slid into that starting center spot perfectly and has been a defensive beast, blocking jump shots, shots off the backboard, averaging nearly 4 blocks per game. Sannon has been a spark plug off the bench and is coming off another 20-point game.
That's unbelievable. And with the depth added by these senior transfers stepping into the leadership roles and the strong contributions from highly touted freshmen, what does this group need to focus on going forward to maintain success?
The seniors on this team need to continue. The seniors on this team need to continue to set an example for younger guys as they adjust to a higher level of competition throughout the season. Finding a balance between growth and experience will be essential for ASU to realize its full potential and maintain the momentum set early in the season. This team proved they can compete with the best of them when they battled against number 6 Gonzaga. The sky can be the limit for this squad.
Sun Devils back in action in 6 days, facing New Mexico and then either USC or St. Mary's at the Acrisure Classic in Palm Springs. George, appreciate the time.
Let's head on down to Mullet Arena as number 9 Arizona State Volleyball hosted the Iowa State Cyclones in their final home match at Mullet. First set, Savannah Colheat, that would be her first of 10 kills on the match and didn't phase the Cyclones. A nice block by them here, but Sun Devils with a block of their own. Good offense and good defense equals success. Here's some of that good offense to close out the set. Set 1 would go down. Final score 25-21. And then Ung plus Colheat at the top of the second means another kill for the Sun Devils. Getting in on the action here is Jelly Sear. She returns after missing the last 2 matches with an injury. And ASU just cruised right on through the second set, 25-15, and those fans are loving it. Third and final set. Colheat kill. What else is new in the world of Sun Devil volleyball? And then we'd head to the match point. Impressive back line. Shania Cromartie seals the sweep for the Sun Devils. 3-0 the final score. Sun Devils improve their win streak to 15 and look to clinch a Big 12 championship in Boulder this Saturday. So ASU has just 2 games to play for the remainder of the regular season at Colorado, as I just mentioned, and against UCF, which means postseason volleyball is on the horizon, and the Sun Devils will look to go all the way after a trip to the Sweet 16 last year. Our WCSN volleyball reporter Ethan Ignatovsky joins us in studio now. And Ethan, what's the Big 12 championship and postseason picture like right now for the Sun Devils?
Yeah, thanks, Gabby. The Sun Devils are currently on top of the conference, and they control their own destiny with just over a week left in the regular season. Since there's no conference tournament, a win or a Kansas loss will make ASU the conference champions for the first time since their 1973 season when they were a member of the Intermountain Conference. Winning the Big 12 will punch ASU's ticket to the NCAA tournament for the second time in as many years. Now looking at the tournament itself, the team is all but a lock to be a top 16 national seed and host a regional for the first time in program history. With 5 top 25 wins and a current number 9 ranking in the RPI, this historic season could be getting even more special.
Historic special season, best season in program history. They're 27-2, number 9 ranked team in the country. JJ Van Niel, we know all of this already, but what is it specifically that's made this team so lethal all season long? Yeah,
it comes down to JJ Van Niel's bread and butter, the pass and serve game. While leading the Big 12 in aces, they've been able to keep teams out of system, holding their opponents to a Big 12 lowest 155 hitting percentage. With Mary Schroll and Jelly Sear commanding the back row, there is no easy point against the Sun Devils. In the attacking room, the depth has been the most astonishing thing this year. 7 players have over 100 kills. Jelly Sear is leading the way, and after missing a couple of matches last week, she returned against Iowa State to add 9 more kills to her total. She also leads the team in kills per set. Alongside Sear, Roberta Rebello, Savannah Colheat, Claire Jeter, and Shania Cromartie have all been threats, making it very tough for defenses to slow down the Sun Devils.
Ethan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bryn has brought it all season long. The Texas A&M transfer has stood out in her second season in Tempe, currently sitting second on the team in assists and leading the charge defensively. Andrea Sarmenta sat down with the redshirt freshman to hear her story.
Starting at the defensive specialist, number 27,
Yeah, we were in practice and he was like, all right, here's the lineup. My name was like on the side and I was like, okay, cool, like, what's this? And he was like, oh, you're gonna DS back row. And I was like, okay, sounds good. So proud. I mean, we work so hard. These are the games we can't mess around with. Like, we gotta still fight and just dominate these teams. I think to be here, it feels kind of crazy to say, but at the same time, like, I'm super thankful. The more I learned the actual game, I was like, okay, I want to try this. Now I think our focus is like, every game we want to dominate. Like, we don't want to just win. We want to beat people.
We're right back at the Mullet, but this time there's ice on the ground. ASU welcomes the Omaha Mavericks to Mullet Arena for their first home NCHC series. In the top of the first period, a rebound. Smolin tries to put it home, but ultimately Artem Schlain, the one to have the puck hit the twine. That's his first as a Sun Devil to give them an early lead. No scoring rest of the first period, but the Mavericks beat goalie Luke Pavicic clean. Blockers side were deadlocked now at 1. We'll start things up the top at the point, and Ryan Alexander copy-paste goal from that first one. 2-1 Sun Devils now heading into the third period. It's Scottsdale native David Heimovich who will notch what will eventually be the game winner. Takes out the feet of his teammate Ty Jackson. Mavericks not going down without a fight. They'll get one more, but the Sun Devils hang on for their first ever win as a part of the NCHC. 3-2 for Arizona State, but they have a really tough test this weekend in Denver. Here's our Colgan Herschel.
The Sun Devils will face arguably their biggest test of the season as they head to Denver to take on the all-time leading national champions and reigning champs Denver Pioneers. Sitting at a perfect 12-0 and leading virtually every category in NCAA hockey, let's take a look at what elements the #1 ranked team in the country brings to the Blizzard. The best trait of this Pioneers team is their ability to work well as a 5-man unit. With 3 of the top 4-point leaders in the nation, including the leader Jack Devine with 21 points in 12 games, their ability to share the load and filter the offense through every man on the ice allows them to keep the opponents snowed in. Zeev Buyum and Eric Polkamp lead the NCAA in points for defensemen. Their ability to play elite 2A hockey by contributing on offense and shutting down the opposition's best attackers freezes their opponents. Buyum scored a hat trick against North Dakota last weekend and became just the 12th Denver defenseman and first in 20 years to accomplish this feat. Backstopping Denver is one of the best goalies in the country, Matt Davis. With a perfect 11-0 record and only 7 losses in his collegiate career, Davis acts as a third defenseman every night, bailing out his teammates and making highlight reel saves. Behind the bench, head coach David Carl enters his 7th season as a 2-time national champion. His ability to retain his top talents has allowed his program to become the powerhouse of the NCAA. With only 2 transfers on the entire team, Carl has built this program on development and chemistry. The Sun Devils have a frosty history with the Pioneers, going 2-9-1 all time, winning last season 6-5 in overtime. The puck drops at Magnus Arena at 7 p.m. on Friday and 6 p.m. on Saturday. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Colgan Herschel.
ASU will face a huge test this weekend against the Denver Pioneers, the reigning national champions. And joining us now from the Mile High City, it's Ben Paris in both of our hometowns of Denver, Colorado. Ben, I'm jealous. You're in for some great hockey this weekend. Denver, a powerhouse hockey program. What's made them so dominant as of late?
Yeah, Gabby, excited to be out here in the Mile High City. And for Arizona State, their hands are going to be full tonight against DU. The defending national champions have pretty much picked up right where they left off to a 12-0 start this season and on a 21-game winning streak dating back to last season. A win tonight would be number 22 and tie a program record. The guy to watch is Zeev Buyum on the back end, their first-round draft pick in the 2024 entry draft by the Minnesota Wild. Had a hat trick last weekend at North Dakota, the first DU defenseman to do so since 2004. And then their guy behind the bench was the youngest head coach in college hire when he was hired at 28 years old. Now, fast forward 7 seasons later, he is the youngest 2-time national champion coach. A pretty similar story to Kenny Dillingham, if you ask me.
Yeah, Ben, and to add to the list of things that are going to be posing a challenge for the Sun Devils as they take on #1 ranked Denver, they've been pretty thin on the front end, sometimes only playing with 11 healthy forwards. They've had to have a defenseman playing on that fourth line as of late as well. So do we know what the injury situation is like ahead of this weekend?
What we know right now, Gabby, is pretty much it's just that next man up mentality. In the last 12 games, they have had 12 different lineup combinations that have played together for 10 or more minutes. So it really is just different people on different nights. The vibe here in Denver is that they're excited to play the defending national champs, whatever the roster may look like, but it's different than it was last year and in years before. And the reason for that is this is now a conference game. It's not a chance to shock the country as the independent as it was in years past. And now it's just a conference game, and they got to keep up with one of the best teams in the conference because it is consequential when it comes to the standings.
Ben, thank you so much for all of the information. Have fun this weekend back home.
Thanks, Gabby.
Natasha Adair's women's basketball squad has faced a bevy of challenges, but recently things have been pretty smooth sailing, and Jacob Brooks has a film breakdown on ASU's two most recent wins.
Arizona State women's basketball has had a roller coaster style start to its 2024-2025 campaign. The Sun Devils opened up the year 1-2, losing in frustrating fashion to both GCU and Arkansas State. This past weekend, though, ASU flipped the switch, defeating both SMU and an Oregon State squad fresh off an Elite Eight appearance. Such a quick turnaround has left many fans wondering what's been the key behind the Sun Devils avenging their early season woes. Well, the tape says it's ASU's improved transition play. So without further ado, let's dive right into the film. Our first play is going to come from the second half of the Hall of Fame game loss against GCU, where ASU only had 17 team points in the second half, with only 3 of them coming off of fast breaks. Right here, Jaya Lovett is going to miss the layup. Now GCU is going to get out in transition. This could be a 4-on-4 defensive possession for ASU, but Lovett is going to give up on the play and start jogging, and her teammate right here is going to make a bad poke at the ball, and in the blink of an eye, GCU has a 4-on-2 opportunity, and both of ASU's defenders are sitting in the paint ball watching, leaving 3 wide open shooters for GCU. This is bad practice, and although GCU missed the 3, you can't be executing on defense like that if you want to win. Now ASU's on offense with a transition opportunity, and Ty Skinner is here ahead of these other players, but she's not going to get involved. She needs to be sprinting up court and become an off-ball opportunity here for Lovett. Lovett's going to get tunnel visioned. She's not even going to look at her teammate down here. She needs to be hitting that pass. Instead, she misses a lead-taking layup in a night full of missed opportunities for ASU. Now we're going to cut to the SMU win. ASU forces a great turnover on defense. Now they're pushing the pace on offense, and everybody is hustling. Everyone's involved, trying to become an off-ball opportunity here for Ty Skinner. She's going to make it look like with her eyes that she's hitting this pass into the paint. Instead, she hits a no-look dime to Jalen Brown, who gets an easy layup because she was being active off the ball. That's different from the GCU game. Now against Oregon State, another way you can get transition points is off of free throws. Here, as soon as the free throw goes in, Lovett is going to be looking to move up to the half-court line the second the ball is in the net. Now ASU is going to inbound it, and Skinner's eyes are already looking up court before the ball's even in her hands. She's looking for Lovett, who's now off frame, sprinting to the half-court line. ASU gets a conveyor belt hockey-style pass play going, and Jalen Brown sinks that 3, ASU's second leading scorer on the board again in the blink of an eye before Oregon State is even done thinking about the made free throw. It was plenty of little plays like that that helped ASU dominate the fast break point battle over Oregon State 30-8. When you're getting out and running in transition like that, it's no wonder the Sun Devils were able to pick up their biggest win of the young season last Sunday. Now, a new test stands in front of ASU in the form of the number 20 Kentucky Wildcats. And for more on that matchup, here's Luke Lendler.
Coming into next week's matchup with the University of Kentucky Wildcats, Arizona State will have its hands full with a Kentucky offense that is the toughest ASU has yet to face in this young season. The Wildcats' offensive attack is led by 3 players in particular. Anchoring the paint is sophomore center Clara Strack. The 6'5" Virginia Tech transfer leads Kentucky with 15.8 points per game on 45% shooting from the field, while collecting 10.4 rebounds per contest. Strack struggled from the field in UK's come-from-behind win over Purdue Fort Worth last Monday, but still impacted the game with 4 assists. 2 of which found senior guard Deja Lawrence for triples. Lawrence averages 14.6 points per game, serving as Kentucky's premier perimeter threat. Her 56% three-point field goal percentage ranks her 10th in the nation with players over 20 attempts, whereas the team overall ranks just 182nd in the country in field goal percentage from beyond the arc. Running the show is graduate point guard Georgia Amore. The Virginia Tech transfer and Canadian international ranks 1st in the nation in total assists with 41, 4th in assists per game with 8.2, and her 15.4 points per game are 2nd on Kentucky behind Strack, her fellow former Hokie. Amore is lethal not only as a distributor in Kentucky's pick-and-roll centered offense, but as a three-point shooter as well, something that ASU will have to be wary of heading into this matchup. After a pair of strong defensive performances last weekend, the Sun Devils will have their work cut out for them in the first game of the Music City Classic. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Luke Lendler.
Well, Arizona State opens their season tonight, and last night an exclusive screening of the movie Unstoppable was held in Mesa, the home of ASU's legendary national champion Anthony Robles. The film features several esteemed actors, including Jennifer Lopez and Don Cheadle. It tells Robles' inspiring story, and it's now been 13 years since he won it all in 2011. Sun Devil Wrestling with their home opener tonight. A couple of in-state foes, ASU, Embry-Riddle, and Arizona Christian.
The media thought there would be 15 better teams in the Big 12 than Arizona State. That same media thought there were 15 better coaches in the conference than Kenny Dillingham. Well, ASU just beat the then 16th ranked Kansas State Wildcats, and now there may not be 15 better teams in the country. Dillingham coached an ASU program that's veins were running cold to an 8-2 team with 2 ranked wins and the possibility of a Big 12 title game appearance. And by the way, he's the youngest Power 4 coach in the country. It's time to ensure that that success continues in Tempe. Dillingham's $3.95 million salary probably seems like a steal now, and he's slated for a $100,000 raise next year with 4 years left on his remaining contract. To contrast, Indiana recently announced an 8x8, $64 million contract for its first-year head coach and National Coach of the Year favorite Curt Cignetti after he led the Hoosiers to their first ever 10-0 start. Dillingham is 29 years Cignetti's junior. How many winning seasons will ASU have before Dillingham is Cignetti's age? And how many of those will be more difficult to come by than what he's done this season? Earlier this week, he said, quote, "I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about our assistants right now and then our players with NIL." And rightfully so. Offensive coordinator Marcus Arroyo and defensive coordinator Brian Ward have been incredible this season too, and will be in high demand among other Power 4 schools across the country. Same goes for the star QB receiver duo in Sam Levitt and Jordan Tyson, who are probably garnering national interest of their own, and all the other players who have been vital pieces in ASU's incredible story this year. I mean, look what happened just this week with linebacker Jordan Crook. He took to Twitter to say he needed a new car, and in a matter of days, ASU fans stepped up to get him just that. That's what this program needs to retain the elements that have allowed it to soar. Athletic Director Graham Rossini said earlier this week he wants Dillingham to retire a Sun Devil. Arizona State, it's your move. And that's the way it is.
I would love a brand new car. How does one get a new car? Let's go to top plays. ASU, their NCHC first win as an NCHC squad, and this was a big one. Ryan Kerwin to David Heimovich. Game-winning goal. Devs get their first win in the new conference.
They sure did, Aiden. ASU Iowa State volleyball. This rally going for quite some time. Roberto Bello gets it to Argentina Ung, Jillian Neal, and then the backs here for the finish. But what's even more interesting, I thought soccer season was over. That one went off of her foot to keep it alive.
Let's go back to football. Second play of the game. A little tip and an interception. ASU rides that big first half to an even bigger win.
Over to some hoops. Jaden Quaintance. What more can we say about him? A dribble drive to the net and slam dunk JQ. On the other side of the court, though, he's just as much a defensive threat as he is an offensive threat. Cal Poly looking to set up a three. JQ says absolutely no way. Now it's Adam Miller in transition. He'll kick it out to the outside for Freeman. Freeman to Quaintance, and he gets denied once, but he won't be denied twice. Jaden Quaintance.
Is that like the Wizard of Oz where you say the name 3 times and it appears? Let's keep it with football. Number 1, there's your bomb. The connection that has dominated all season long. Levitt, Tyson, done. ASU wins it. We're being told Beetlejuice is 3 times.
Yeah, I think you were thinking of the wrong movie there.
There's no place like home.
You say Beetlejuice 3 times, and then he appears. Wizard of Oz, not quite there. His mind's still in Kansas, though, but we're looking ahead to BYU. Aiden, are you excited for that game?
I can't wait. No tailgating for you?
No tailgating for me. Got to be there bright and early. But
should be fun.
Thank you guys all for joining us inside Studio 6. That's all we have for this week's edition of Cronkite Sports Live. For Aiden Blank and all of our amazing crew in the studio, I'm Gabby Chernoff. Thank you so much for joining us.